Okay.
Make Commerce Show with Comrade Lante Oriake live on Facebook and YouTube. Like us,
We are live right
follow
now.
us, and be the first to know. This is the Commerce Show. Make Commerce Show with Comrade Lante Oriake live on Facebook and YouTube. Like us, follow us, and be the first to know. This is the Commerce Show. Make Commerce.
Okay, a very good evening to you, Edo people and Nigerians across the world. This is the Comrade Show. My name is Comrade Lamte Oriahi. And I want to appeal to you. We've got some breaking news. If you are joining us, please share the broadcast. Let's get some numbers together. Favor, Natasha, I see you. Thank you so much for joining. Usas Ojo, thank you. Yes, Marlon Patience, thank you so much. Via Sekizi, my man, thank you. Please, let's just share this broadcast. It's important we do. Let's get a word together right now. A lot is happening in Edo State, and I can confirm to you that I have, somebody with us, somebody very important we need to hear from, and is the essay to the Edo State government on media. He's been on top of the situation, and of course, there's no better person that we are going to know exactly what is happening from, and he's going to be talking to us. But I'm going to like that we have everybody on board. Let's keep sharing. Let the world be together right now. Let Edo people across the world be together. We need to know exactly what is happening in Edo State. And of course, we need to be able to explain that our young men and women in Edo State must have reasons to keep things under control. And that, of course, is because we are going to hear from Osage Crusoe, the essay on media, to the Edo State government. So please, let's keep sharing the broadcast. Keep sharing. Let's get everybody together. Yes, Henry Palacio, ¿Qué tal estás, amigo? I see you. Joseph Igbins, hello. Arawa Igiebo Mebe, thank you so much for joining us. Purity KC, thank you. Favor Sazer Isaac, thank you so much. Please, let's keep sharing. Let's keep sharing. Let's keep sharing. Let's keep sharing. Let's get 1,000 people together as quickly as we possibly can, because it is important we know exactly what is happening, and you can only get this information undiluted from the Comrade Show, and that is where we are. And I'm your anchor man, Comrade Lamte Oriahi.
Comrade Lante Oriake live on Facebook and YouTube. Like us, follow us, and be the first to know.
Oh yes, my people, it is still the Comrade Show, and I have the essay to the government of Edo State on media is no other person but Osage Crusoe, and I'm bringing him on right now. Mr. Crusoe, good evening to you. How are you, sir?
Good evening, I'm very well, thank you.
Good. Well, we don't really have much time for razzmatazz. We are going to go straight to what is happening. Tell us, sir, the whole world wants to know what is happening in Edo State.
Yeah, well, Edo State was largely peaceful until a couple of days ago, when the NSAS protest was hijacked by criminal elements and other elements, who are pursuing different objectives from the objective of the NSAS protesters, which has been largely a peaceful protest and very organized protest. So since then, there's been some upheavals. We have been very frontal and very, strategic in the way we engaged the challenge in Edo State, and we have been able to stay on top of the situation, at least ahead of all the other states in the country. And we are bringing things under control until this morning, when another dimension of the crisis evolved, which is the attack on the warehouse where the strategic materials for managing crisis where we keep it in the state is in medical stores road. Medical stores road, we have some warehouses there, and so we have some materials kept there. You know, there's some food items there. There's a lot of medical equipment there. You have a lot of vaccines, syringes, oxygen tanks, all kinds of medical supplies are stored in that place. And unfortunately, as we speak, that place has been vandalized now. The very little food left from the COVID-19 palliative has been taken, and then the looters didn't stop at that. They went ahead to take all the medical equipment, the vaccines that our children are supposed to be using. You know, in the next couple of months, we're taking syringes, we're taking oxygen tanks, different kinds of medical supplies. We're all taking. And when they were done looting all those medical supplies, they now started taking air conditioners from the wall, fridges, motorbikes, anything they just laid their hands on. Then from there, they started cutting cables, armor cables, with which electricity comes into the property. It's just been very chaotic and very condemnable.
Okay, to be very honest, the people right now watching us, they are not really interested in the history of how we got here. The issue right now is that Edo State is on fire, to say the least, okay, because of this issue of palliatives. As it were, we have been following scenarios in some other states, at least 2 or 3 states, where people discover that they are heap of palliatives. And as a matter of fact, we have come to this program to tell the world that we do not understand why governments, at least the ones we saw the day before yesterday and yesterday, why they will be hoarding palliatives. Are we saying that Edo State was hoarding palliatives?
It would be completely wrong to say that. I have before me here portions of the list of palliative materials, both the ones procured by government and the ones that were donated by private individuals and corporate organizations for onward distribution to the masses. And I can assure you that at least to the tune of 85–90%, these materials have been dispersed. We did not keep any of these materials there lying in the warehouse. As the materials were coming, they were distributed to needy individuals. Don't forget that these materials are meant for the poorest of the poor and the vulnerable in society, and it was mostly channeled towards the people who were exposed to economic hardship during the COVID-19 lockdown. For example, I have before me here a set of we received from a private body, coalition of private organizations. 5 bags of rice. Out of the 36,295 bags of rice supplied to Edo State government by Kakobi, 36,225 has since been disbursed. We got 2,813 bags of garri from Kakobi. Out of the 2,813, 2,743 bags and we kept 70 bags in the strategic. If you wonder why, you would agree with me that it's not wise of any warehouse.
Of course, Robinson Sadiq Kuso is talking to us from Edo State.
Need for these items in case there's a crisis. So I don't know whether you can still see me, whether you can still hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you, but the network is playing up a bit. Could you just take it back? I mean, I
Okay.
think the much we heard was when you were talking about the very first line of your breakdown of the chart. Could you just start the breakdown of the chart again so that
Okay.
people can hear, please?
Okay. So I was saying I was talking about the different categories. First was the materials donated by Kakovi. I talked about rice, 36,295 bags supplied by Kakovid, 36,225 distributed, 70 bags kept as strategic reserve. Gary, 2,813 bags donated by Kakovid, 2,743 bags distributed, 70 bags left behind. Noodles, which we popularly call Indomie in Nigeria, 72 90 cartons supplied by Kakovid, 69,810 cartons distributed, 2,780 cartons left as strategic reserve. Spaghetti, which we call pasta in other parts of the world, supplied 36,095 packets distributed and strategic 6,295 packs of sugar donated, 32,295 packs distributed, 4,000 packs left behind. Salt, 1,800 from 165 packs supplied, 33,325 packs distributed, 140 packs reserved. This is from all the materials donated by Kakovi. There were other materials that were in the warehouse. For example, the state government procured rice, beans, gari, noodles, and vegetable oil to the tune of 600,000 units of all of these put together. 600,000 units of all of these put together. As I speak with you, all of these products have been distributed. Individuals and corporate organizations donated noodles, water, soft drinks, and toiletries to the tune of 300,000 units of all of these categories, soft drinks, and toiletries. All of these materials have since been distributed. SEMA, State Emergency Management Agency, had a total of about 60 bags of rice and 40 bags of gari as in that strategic reserve that was looted today. Everything apart from that had been distributed before that time. So in total, you have what was left behind in the warehouse that was looted today is 7,220 units of items ranging from rice, very few cartons, which is about 70, gari about 70 bags, cartons of Indomie. If you watch the videos very well, you will find that you saw most of those people carrying cartons. Those cartons had what we call Indomie noodles inside. 2,780 cartons looted today. Then 160 packs of spaghetti, which is pasta. 4,000 packs of sugar and 140 packs of semolina. That's semovita, which is a bleached wheat meal. So essentially, this is what was looted today. So if you look at the quantity of items that we had, vis-a-vis the quantity of items that is there, you find that over 90% of these items have since been distributed. But you see, it is not wise of a government to just clear its warehouse completely and not have anything as reserve. What if there's a flooding somewhere, like it happened in Isako West, Isako Central, Issaco West, and East and Southeast recently, just about 2 3 weeks ago, and they just sent some materials from these strategic reserve left to those people. So essentially, there was no hoarding whatsoever. Materials that were donated as palliatives to the government for onward distribution has been largely distributed up to the tune of over 90%, and what is left in the storage was just a handful to mitigate against crisis in case crisis happens. But like I said, the looting has happened, and the looting went beyond just the small amount of food items that they had, because once they broke into the place, it didn't take up to an hour for them to loot the food items. Unlike other states where for over 24 hours they were looting and the items didn't get exhausted. In Edo State, they need in less than 1 hour they had looted the food items. So the people who came later could not find food items to loot. They now started looking for anything else to take. Some now started taking medical supplies, vaccines, injections, syringes, gas cookers, AC, air conditioners, removing them from the wall, and so on and so forth.
Okay, Mr. Crusoe, look,
Yes,
man, the system right now, everything is fragile. Okay,
yes,
I can tell you that the youth of Edo State and Nigeria, they are not happy because of all that has been happening, in our system, all over the country and all of that. Now, given that, given what we saw previously, I think it was in Lagos, and in one other state where this issue of palliatives came up, and people started, where there's been a wide outcry across the world and all of that, and you knew in Edo State that, and we had some. Was it not necessary for you people to have, for the government to have come out and at least let the world know, let the people know that, look, man, on the palliative matter, this is what the position that what you're telling us right now. Would that have been proactive, enough that to wait to this point?
Yeah, well, perhaps that would have been better in the benefit of hindsight. Perhaps it would have been better to come out like this to explain. But I just believe that, or we just thought that, there's no government in the world that does not have reserve. Even you in your house, if you cook all the rice in your kitchen in one fell swoop and just cook everything and share it for all your children and people around your neighborhood, and you don't have anything again in your house, and then when you're going to have the meal the next week, you have to start rushing to the market. Do you wait for everything in your kitchen to be completely exhausted before you go to the market again to restock? Nobody does that. So just like individuals in their various homes, government also does the same thing. At least in Edo State, we don't allow our reserves to be completely depleted. We leave a little stock before we restock, so that it won't be completely empty, so that if there is need for urgent supplies for people who are in journey, then you have something to so we didn't think this was a security risk in any way, shape, or form. That's why we didn't think it was necessary to go out and be saying, you know what, we have 70 packs, or we still have 70 bags of rice inside the store, we still have 70 bags of gari, we have 2,780 cartons of Indomie noodles. Who does that? If not for the fact that things have gone out of hands.
Yeah, but thank you, but it's important we ask this question so that people can understand why the situation is like this. But meanwhile, when you were saying that over 90% of what Edo State government receives had been distributed, is it possible you give us insight into who and who received this? Maybe from constituency to constituency or local government to local government, like that, so that we can, because people are like, okay, if the figures you gave, okay, are the way they are and all of that, why is it that, okay, we are not hearing that, oh, these things are happening at this time and at that point? Can you give us a little insight into how this matter was done?
Perhaps it may be necessary for us to do a little mathematics here and sort of sum up the entire items that we receive. If you look at from the COVID list, in total we have about let me see, 36 plus 36, that's 72, plus 32, that's 100 and something thousand, plus 69 or 70, that's, let's say, 200,000 plus 33. So let's say 250,000 units of items. And then you will go to what I said the state government gave us, or state government procured 600,000 units. So if you add 250,000 to 600,000, you have just about 850,000 units. Then you have another 300,000 units there from donations from private individuals. If you add that, then you are going to just about a million plus units of items. Don't forget that we have a population in Edo State of over 4 million people. These units of items, we are talking about rice, indomie, different water, oil. So even if you were to bring out this entire sum of materials donated to the government and procured by the government as donations to people, it still won't go around one quarter of Edo people. It won't go around one quarter of the people. So these items were actually strategically distributed to the very vulnerable in society. And the way we embarked on the distribution, we used different organizations like faith-based organizations, mosques, churches, community organizations, village heads, those kinds of people who we believe had, who were opinion leaders in their areas, where they were located, who would honestly be able to identify the people in those communities that really cannot afford to eat, and ensure that it is those people that the materials went to. These materials were not meant for ordinary people who can afford to struggle to get, say, 2 meals in a day. This material was meant for completely indigent individuals who cannot even put gari on water and drink. Those are the kinds of people that the palliatives were meant for. And so, like I said, if we have less than a million, by a little bit over a million units of items, even if you open it in one day and distribute it, it will finish in one day, and you still won't go around all the 4 million Edo people. So you see, it's not like these food items were really much. So since it was not so much, we had to strategically distribute to ensure that, yes, we know everybody is suffering, everybody needs, even among all of us who are suffering, there are still some that are completely indigent and don't have any hope at all. Those are the people that we targeted with these items.
Okay, it is good. I mean, but I want to ask this. Listening to you, was there a mechanism by government to cross-check? If you are distributing things through the mosque, the church, and all of that, was there a mechanism to cross-check that the mosque, the church, or the other, organizations were not hoarding themselves, instead of giving it to the indigent in their own community? Was there any mechanism like that?
Yeah, well, of course, we had a supervisory mechanism, embedded in the process of distribution. But all these things cannot be 100%. I mean, we're still dealing with human beings, and human beings will be human beings. But I can say, to a very considerable extent, the people that were saddled with the responsibility of distributing these things were people of repute. The Christian Association of Nigeria, for example, it was the umbrella body through which the materials were sent to the churches, and then the churches down to their members. I am a minister, for example. I'm a minister in church. I know my church members who cannot eat. I know my church members who are completely indigent. I know the ones that are struggling. I know the ones that are doing well. I don't need anybody to tell me. The people, the imams and the rest of them in the mosque will also know the people who are most indigent, that this is best. And if our society in Nigeria is very religious. Most people either go to church, or they go to mosque, or they go to traditional. So that's why we also use community heads, gays, those kinds of people to do the distribution.
Okay, so is it possible you let us, you inform us, you just tell us since when has the palliative, since when have we had it, the palliative in the warehouse?
Yeah, well, the distribution started around March, when COVID-19 broke out, towards the end of March into April. So it's not like everything was loaded at once into the warehouse. These things were coming in trickles. the government first procured. After the government procured, some private individuals now who are well-to-do started making donations. After that, corporate organizations came and added theirs. Then thereafter, the Coalition Against COVID-19, which is a nationwide body, also now came with their own materials and donated. So it's not like everything was obtained at once and put in the warehouse. These things were coming into the warehouse in phases gradually, and so as they came in, they were also distributed as they came in. Once we received supplies, we assessed the extent of need through the agencies which we were using to distribute, which faith-based and community-based agencies, and then we supply what can meet those needs as much as possible, and then till another set of supplies will come.
Okay, given the situation right now as it is, what really would you say to Edo youths who apparently are very angry, particularly given that some people had gone to the warehouse, they got something, others came later, and they couldn't get anything, and they vent their anger on every other thing around. What message do you have from your point?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, we want to appeal to every Edo person, not just the youths, but all Edo persons, Edo people, to be patient. A revolution happened in this state just a few weeks ago, let's say about a month ago, in the elections. The people came out and made a decision that they must decide who will rule them, who will be leader over them. That was for me the beginning of transformation in Edo State. For the first time, the people will speak and their voice will be heard loud and clear. So we know a lot has gone wrong in this country over the past couple of years, but just rising up to burn everything down may not be the best route, to solve this problem. It may be necessary to use more peaceful means to try to achieve a solution. Because if we start this crisis at the top, eventually it's going to come to the bottom and it's going to affect everybody. In Lagos, for example, where a lot of destruction has happened, even the people who were in the forefront of the NSAS protest, genuinely agitating for the well-being of all the other people in the country. Before some of them got home, their own houses were looted as well. So at the end of the day, now looks as if we're punishing ourselves instead of us to come together and move ourselves forward. So I appeal to all Edo persons. Governor Baseki means very well. Governor, I'm sure that is why you all came out en masse to vote for him. Means very well, and is going to put machineries in place to ensure that sufferings, problems, challenges that young people face and other people face in our society will be reduced to its barest minimum as much as possible.
Thank you very much. Because we want to ensure that we get to the root of this matter. You mentioned CAN, and to a very large extent, CAN is a reputable organization, as it were. We're going to want to speak to somebody in CAN to, of course, come and make some of these things clear. And I will appreciate if you can help facilitate that process, because Edo people across the world, they want to know exactly what the true position is. Of course, the reasons you have explained, of course, they are very objective reasons. There's no doubt about it. But the people are not trusting. They are not happy. Okay, government need to really do much right now, for the confidence, the people have in government to be restored and all that. And I can tell you from the diaspora, we have been doing a lot on our part to give good representation to this government, because we know if it's just by Obaseki alone as a person, of course many of us know that we can stand and vote for Obaseki. So we are going to actually demand that everybody who's been involved in the process of distribution, every group, we want to talk to them, we want to hear from them directly. Let them tell us how these things were done from their own point, so that Edo people can begin to get better understanding from this statement that you've made. I don't know if that sounds all right for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's very possible. The chairman of CAN, Edo State, Bishop Oyonu de Kure, I'm sure most of you in the diaspora will know him. I would call him and find out how he can come on your program so you can interview him. He was very much part of the process of the distribution of of engagement as far as COVID-19 was concerned, not just in distribution of palliative, also in urging people to follow the rules of COVID-19 and the rest of it. So yes, I'm sure I'll be able to convince him to come on your show.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Sergey Crusoe, and it's been wonderful having you. Please, when there's the need for us to call on you again, please don't hesitate to oblige us, because from this platform, we are doing our best to let our people know exactly what the true position is. And I want to quickly use this minute to tell the Edo people and the Nigerians across the world that by the grace of God, if it is possible, within the next 48 hours for us to get the governor himself to come and talk to us with respect to this matter and some other matters, we are going to do so. And because of the way things are fragile, we are going to ensure that we get to the very bottom of this matter as much as we possibly can. This is the Comrade Show. A lot of things are happening around. You understand what I'm saying now? At this time, too many things. You understand? A lot of lies are being peddled, indictment here and there. In good time, we are going to try to ensure that we give attention to the things that matter and talk about them. From our end, we are going to do our best to keep representing the Edo people, the Nigerian people all across the world. Thank you for joining us. By the grace of God, in the next 1 hour or less, we are going to be on again. Of course, we have a program. Hopefully, if it's possible, His Excellency will come on that program to, of course, equally talk to us, if it is possible. But we are going to work on that as much as possible. Mr. Crusoe, thank you very much for being on the program.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
God bless you, sir. This is the Comrade Show, my people. I'll talk to you later. God bless you, and God bless Edo State and Nigeria.
This is the Comrade Show. Make Comrade Show way. Comrade Lamte Oriake.